Hey, what's going on, guys? Xuen here. So today, I know we've done like a lot of camera videos and stuff like that. I know there's going to be some PvP videos soon. I am super swamped because I'm super excited about all the content I'm going to be creating. It's going to be awesome. But first, start off by reducing hard drive space. So as you saw in the beginning of this video were some of the clips, Machinima clips from the Beast Within. I did promise you guys in my next After Effects tutorial I was going to teach you how to make your own Machinima clips and stuff like that. So you can do the same type of style of editing that I do, and then you guys can come up with your own awesome projects, which I highly suggest you do because there's not many people that make Machinima anymore because it is a dying thing, which is really sad because we don't get as much recognition as we used to, and it's a lot of effort for what would seem like nothing, but trust me, you'll feel good about it, and people that do watch it will definitely appreciate it, especially if done right. So we're gonna pretty much break down everything between how to record a character for a scene, how to set up shadowing, lighting effects, color correction, as well as depth of field. So let's get started. So first thing that you need to do is obviously record a scene in WoW. Now, this is the first step that you can do. You can get the camera Free Farsight. Just Google Free Farsight on Google Free Farsight. I pretty much just said that. And after you Google Free Farsight, it's Kaisa. I'll probably be leaving a link down in the description below. But what that allows you to do is it is a camera tool that allows you to detach your camera from your character and move around freely so you can get shots in the exact angles that you want. It's how I recorded the flying clips for Xuen 3 as well as Beast Within. How you saw the smooth sort of camera track moving around. And I think it's an absolutely amazing invention, absolutely amazing camera tool, and I would highly suggest picking it up for any Machinima artist out there. But moving on, the first thing that you're going to want to record is a scene. I personally am going to be using one of these scenes that I've already recorded, but we're going to go and make a new composition. We'll make it about 5 seconds. So let's go into a new comp. Let's make this, let's make this here 5 seconds. And we're going to make sure that's at 60 FPS, 1920 by 1080p. Again, After Effects likes it when you match frame rates as well as resolutions. You get downscale resolution, but definitely frame rate. If you recorded at 30 FPS, keep it at 30 FPS. If you recorded at 60 FPS, make it 60 FPS. Or whatever FPS you recorded as. I'm going to rename this really quick. We're going to rename this to video example Machinima. I can't spell. We're just going to leave it at that. I definitely spelled that wrong, but no problem. We're going to go with it. So I'm going to find that scene. If I can find it. I think it's in one of these. So that's the Silver Shard Mines. Where art thou, clip? I might place you in scene. Yes. Aha! I have found it. So I'm going to mute the audio in this because I don't want the audio from the background of the video. So right here we have a clip of Strand of the Ancients, the grass is blowing, and this is the same clip from this. But I'm going to do something else. I'm going to add a new character from WoW Model Viewer, and I'm going to place them in the scene, and we're going to figure out what they're going to be doing. So one way that you can kind of get the angle right is you can get a screenshot. For some reason my WoW Model Viewer for screenshot isn't working, so I'm going to kind of have to guess where it is, but you'll see. So once you get to this point, you need to have WoW Model Viewer installed. So let's open up WoW Model Viewer. It's a very good program. You can get it from Google as well. New update is available, and now it's fine. Yes, load Warcraft. Yeah, it'll take a second to load Warcraft, but there's an option where you can WoW Model Viewer to add a screenshot from the scene, so you can get the actual angle of the feet precise. So it looks like it's supposed to fit there rather than not. But for some reason my add to screenshot is not working. but you can just go to view and then load background and then find a background to load, and for some reason it's not working for me, but it'll probably work for you, or it might work when I update. So let's just character, let's go to a, let's do a organ again. I love organs. Yeah, I know. So let's just make the shoulder just something random. Not like that. Let's do that. Let's make the chest something random. I really don't care. I'll just get some pants. That's fine. Let's get a belt, legs, and I'll be fine. So belt, let's find something that just somewhat matches. Somewhat matches. That matches. And pants. Pants. Where are they? There we go, legs. I was like, wait a second. We're, yeah. That works. That works. It's fine. Okay, so right here we have a character. I'm gonna change the skin and face to something that I use on my machinimas. Here would be 1, and then it'd be 6. Alright. So right here we have our character. Now, right here we have our scene. So I have to kind of eye it to where I'm gonna have him sort of stand and wave. Let's do a stand and wave. So I'm gonna load up my fraps or whatever recording program you have, and I'm going to go to the animations, which is right here, and I'm going to sort of scroll through the animations. Sometimes you can mess around with them and laugh at it because it's pretty funny. Like, but let's just find a general animation that we can use. I'll actually use this. So let's use this. Let's first make sure we got the angle right. I'm just gonna kind of gotta eye it. I'm gonna be putting him right over here. Just gotta kind of eye it. Make sure that it's gonna be. That actually looks fine. So let's slow down the speed on this really quick, because it's just gonna be 5 seconds. Probably about 0.5. That should be fine. And then we're gonna record this for 5 seconds. So, how are you guys doing today? Sup? And stop recording. Let me go to my recordings folder. Go to fraps. If I can find it. There we go. And that should be at the bottom, I believe. That is. Alright, so we're going to be dragging this in to this area, which is where you drag all your clips for new compositions. And then we're going to drag this on top of our footage. Okay, so now we have a blue screen with a character and not really knowing what to do with it. Let's actually close fraps really quick. This is probably going to cause while monitor viewer to crash, but it's fine. Normally when you close a recording program, it crashes while monitor viewer, just a heads up. So what we're going to do now is we have our first character, but we're going to first set up our scene. Now that we have our character in the scene, we're going to make sure to hit the volume button over here, and then we're going to also toggle the character away so we can focus on the background first. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the background because we're going to be adding depth of field. Now what depth of field is, it allows you to have depth perception. So you know how the background will be a little bit blurry because you can't really see things too well that are far away, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be duplicating this layer, and we're going to be using a masking tool to mask blur onto our scene to make it look more realistic. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit click our actual layer for our scene right here in the background, and we're going to hit Shift D for duplicate. Actually, Control D, I'm sorry. Control D, which is our keybind for duplicate. So Control D, it's very helpful to get in the habit of memorizing these keybinds so you can be more efficient as an editor. But if you do not know how to do that, you can always click it and then go to layer and then hit duplicate, which is somewhere. 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 I know it's somewhere. I always use the keybind, so yeah. So let's get into the next thing. So this is going to be our main, this is going to be our foreground, so let's call this foreground, and this will be our background. So the background is the thing that we're going to put the blur on. So what we're going to do on our foreground, so we have our foreground selected, we're going to click the pen tool, and this is a masking tool. There's an awesome thing that is only available for After Effects, which is a feather, which I love, which I'll show you guys in a minute. But we're going to be clicking our pen tool, and we're going to be sort of moving around objects that are close that we want to be in the camera's focus. So we're going to start over here. You're probably, actually we're going to start up here where the tree is. You don't have to be too perfect, because not only is it going to sort of be unnoticed if you're not perfect, there is going to be a feather, so it'll blend in quite nicely anyway. So we're just going to sort of trace around this plant right here, and then what we're going to be doing is going to other objects that look a little bit closer and finish this up. So I'm gonna go kind of fast to kind of speed up the process because I don't want to be here forever. Let's get around that rock, and then we're actually gonna move over here. Probably get this tree because that's pretty close, and just go around this tree. We're not gonna actually get this tree, but we're gonna get this tree right here. Sorry, allergies are killing me. So we're going to be circling around this tree. I'm sorry, this is very awkward. Circling around this tree, probably get this rock. This rock looks like it could stand out a little bit. And then we're going to cross over this way. Get this grass right here. Then get this grass right here, which is right next to us. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just bring that over to the start, and that is masked now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our background, and we're going to go into the effects and presets, which is right below my camera, and go into Gaussian blur. Can't spell today whatsoever. We're going to drag that into our background. What we're going to be doing is getting a little bit closer so you guys can see what's going to be happening. And then we're going to drag the blurriness up to around a 5 or 7. It really depends on whatever you want. 5.5 looked really good. So as you can see, the background is now blurred out. So if I unselect the Gaussian blur, you can see how the background is blurred out, so it adds that depth of field for more a realistic look to it. And even though it seems like it's not important to go through the entire process of masking certain things to make them pop out more, trust me, it will be worth it because it helps your scenes pop out so much more if you go that extra mile. Usually the rule of thumb with editing is to always try to go that extra mile. So now that we have the background blur done, I'm going to zoom in and show you why we need a feather. So if you guys can see right here, there's an absolutely clear indication that this is masked. Now, one of the ways that we can get around this is by applying a mask feather, which is exclusive to After Effects. You will not get this in any other program because After Effects does have it under copyright. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the foreground, which is the layer that we applied the mask. We're going to hit that little arrow. We're going to go to masks. And then under masks, we're going to hit the arrow again, and you see mask feather. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in to where we can definitely see the line, and we're going to drag the feather up to enough to where we do not see that line anymore. So about there. Let's actually drag it up a little bit more. And there we go. So now you do not see that line anymore when you zoom in. So it's much clearer, much more blending in, and it doesn't look like it was cut completely, if that makes any sense. So now that we got the background blur done, we have depth of field. That is the first step. The next step is going to be adding color correction. So I'm going to add a new adjustment layer. And in this adjustment layer that I'm going to be selecting, I'm going to add a few things. The first two things are automatically in After Effects. You do not need any third-party plugins for this, and that is curves and brightness and contrast. So we're going to drag curves over here, and if you want me to go a little bit slower, I have a tutorial on color correction in After Effects and camera tools in a separate video, which I will be leaving down in the description below. So we're going to probably... oh, that's fun. Or they actually just do that. This is very subtle. And then what we're gonna be doing, adding some contrast. Let's do 10. 5 contrast, usually what I go with, and then we can probably drag this down a little bit and this up a little bit. So then we have our color correction right there, and again we're going to be adding another color correction layer, and this is where we get into the third-party plugins. The first one is going to be optical flares. I like adding this a lot, especially at night, because you can get a really cool moonshine down below. So we're going to be doing this, calling this moon under a solid. So we're going to create a new solid, and we're going to type in moon. Then we're going to go into optical, can't spell at all, optical flares. We're going to select on transparent, and let's go into our options really quick. Moon. Alright, so we do not need glint, we pretty much just need glow. The moon does not have any multi-irises, so we just need a glow because that is going to be the moon right there. We are going to drag this moon over here. Make this a little bit brighter. Right about there. And then we're going to be, I think the color is fine, just straight white. Let's see, once we use add. So we're going to be clicking our moon and going to add. This is going to add light to the scene. So if you can see right there that it's shining like off the grass. Very nice, and we're going to actually drag it underneath our adjustment layer to give it more of a realistic feel. So that seems pretty good right now. I could go into detail and use another program called Shine, but that's probably for a different video. Right now we're just trying to keep it simple because this video is going to be long enough as it is. So let's get into the next thing. So once we got that, I'm going to be adding one more color correction, and I'm going to be using Mojo. No, actually Looks. Let's go with Looks for this, and actually just look at a few presets. Because Looks has a lot of amazing presets that you can use. If you want to, you can go into you can create your own, which is usually what I do. But in the spirit of keeping this really fast, I want to make it to where I can just do this pretty fast without taking 10 minutes getting a good color correction. So we have that. That looks nice. Let's scroll through a few of these. Blue sky looks nice. That's weird. That looks really cool. That looks really cool, but then we won't be able to see our character. So we have the blue night, and we got... I think I'm going to go with this. I think this is what I went with in Beast Within, so I'm just going to hit finished, and then we're going to look at our color correction difference. So you see everything is just popping out more, and again, it is at night, so it's not going to be as vibrant as we can make it, but we could add a moonlight shine, but I don't really have time for that in this video. So right here, we have our scene set up. We have it color corrected, we got the moon in there, and we got the depth of field. Now comes adding the characters. So we have our organ model right here, which I'm going to now show. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dragging him over here. We're going to be going into our effects and presets tab and typing in Keylight. And this is a plugin that is built into After Effects, so you do not have to worry about any third-party plugins. and you're going to be dragging that over to your character. And as soon as key light is up, you see the screen color. It is black. What you need to do is you need to take that die tool and then hit the blue line and then just zoom in, make sure there's no blue on the outside of your character, or green depending if you're using a blue or green screen. See, there's a little bit of blue on the pants, so we wanted to just drag the screen gain up a little bit to make that blue less noticeable. And actually I'm gonna have to drag that down because no, it's fine. Probably about 105. That looks good. So now that we have that, we're going to be doing two things. One is we're going to be adding an outline to our character as well as a shadow to have more of an appearance. So we're going to be leaving him right there. That's fine. He's a little bit out of proportion. I could have tilted him back, but again, that would be if I had a actual screenshot in place. It'll look more in place once we add a shadow, which I will show you right now. So we're going to be going to our WoW model viewer character in the layer. We're going to be selecting that, and once again hitting Control D to duplicate, and we're going to hide our top layer. We're actually going to rename this to regular layer. And then we're going to rename this to character outline. And then we're going to duplicate this one more time and then call this character shadow. There's two ways you can do a shadow, which I'll be showing you today before we finish. The first way, let's first actually just get into the character outline first. So we're going to go into the effects and presets. We're going to go to fill. We're going to drag that over to our first outline. If I can find it. Why is it not going completely red? There we go. I had the thing selected again. So under regular character, I had it selected. So we're on our character outline 1. It says 2, but it's the character outline. So we have it red. We're going to change this to black. And then we want to keep the opacity at full. We're going to go to our effects and presets. We're going to go to Gaussian blur. We're going to drag that into our character outline and probably make that a 10. That's usually what I go with. And right there, that is going to add a character outline to make your character pop out more. If you guys can see the difference, you can probably drag the blur up a little bit more if you want to. That's going to make it more noticeable. I would say between 5 and a 10 is your best bet. I'm actually going to drag that down to an 8. So that allows your character to seem like he's in the scene more than not, if he has that like little blurry black background. So then we're going to be adding a shadow. There's two ways to add a shadow. The first way is the more complicated way, but the better way, and the second way is adding a circle. We're going to go with the more complicated way first. So once again, we're going to drag our Gaussian blur into our character shadow, and we're going to leave that blank for now, and then we're going to go back to fill in our presets. We're going to drag that in to the character shadow, and we're going to select this now. And we're going to change the color to black, and we will change the blur depending on what the scene asks for. So the first thing what we're going to be doing is we're going to be locking everything else, because when you turn things into 3D layers, they have a tendency to drag the entire scene around, which is very annoying. So we're going to make sure everything else is locked, so the only thing that we're going to be moving is the shadow. So we're going to be changing the shadow into a 3D layer. If you can see the box right there, it will change it into a 3D layer, and we're going to be dragging this underneath our character and trying to match his feet to the shadow. And once you feel like you have it pretty much matched up, that looks fine. We are going to add blur to this and drag down the opacity. So under the blur, we're going to drag this up. Probably like a 10 or 15. Uh, 15 looks good. And then we're going to drag the opacity down to about 60 to 70. 70 looks fine. So now our character looks like he's in the scene. and we can go and track, and he's in the scene. We have a shadow. The other way to add a shadow, and sometimes it does look better if you add these type of shadows in the game, in these scenes, and to be honest, I think that it would look better with a circular shadow on this anyway. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to unselect our character shadow. We're going to go to new solid, name this character shadow 2, and make that a black solid. You're going to go to our ellipse tool, which is underneath this black box. We're going to go to our ellipse tool, and we're going to kind of make a circle. And again, you can move these later, but you just want to make it to where it's going to cover both of the feet. So that looks about right. We're going to drag our Gaussian blur on this because we want our shadow to be blurry. If I drag this up to 10, drag this over where the character shadow is, so it's underneath our character, and then drag this under here. Zoom in really quick to kind of get this better. If we can reshape this, that would be great. Gonna drag these over a little bit. And play with these. Sorry, I'm very quiet. I'm just trying to concentrate. That looks good. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be... Where's the character shadow 2? We're going to drag down the opacity pretty low. Probably about a 60 or 50. Probably 55, 56. Let's drag the blurriness up a little bit higher. A bit higher. There we go. So that's going to add a character shadow to our scene to make it look like he's actually there. So that's pretty much going to cover this tutorial, guys. This is how to add characters into After Effects and record it, edit it, and the whole 9 yards. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it taught you guys something. Be sure to check out my other After Effects tutorial, and I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all in the next video, and as always, have a great day, guys.